Welcome to Season 1, Episode 8 of Seen and Heard, the podcast from the Summerville Journal Scene. As always, I'm publisher and editor. Well, not as always, because Eon's done a few of these by his lonesome, but I am publisher, editor Brandon Roberts, here with reporter Eon Bailey. And before we discuss the news, last time we did this together, we talked about TV shows and the Righteous Gemstones and whatnot. And I wrote about this in a column, but about my love of music, particularly 90s hip-hop, which kind of shocks a lot of people when they hear my accent because they assume that I'm country or bluegrass or whatever, because I'm from Kentucky. But I love hip-hop, and when I start thinking about talking about music, there you have an interesting story about. Do you want to tell the story about the tickets you bought to the guy you thought you liked?
Well, it would be a better story if I had actually gone to the concert, but I did not. There is a duo from Los Angeles called Neil Francis, spelled Neilfrances, and they make kind of like electronic indie pop, which I really enjoy. And someone told me, oh my gosh, Neil Francis is coming to Charleston. It's one of your favorite bands. You gotta go check it out. So I bought the tickets, got really excited, was going to go on a weeknight, which I wouldn't normally do, but this was one of my favorite artists, so I was willing to do it. And then I look at the ticket the day of, and Neil is spelled Neal, Francis is spelled Francis. It's a different guy. It's a singer-songwriter from Chicago. We pulled up, one of our colleagues here at the Journal Scene pulled up a music video of his on the computer, and I was like, all due respect, I don't think I'll be going to this concert. And so that was a merry mix-up.
That's funny. Dueling Neil Francises. Who would have thought? I just got off the phone with a man, I won't give his name, but he has called requesting several copies of this week's newspaper because of the front page story that Eon wrote about Charleston Wine and Food in the Fort Dorchester High School culinary program. I gotta admit, this is one I did not know existed until we got the press release asking us to cover it. And of course, you wouldn't cover it. So it sounds like a pretty incredible thing. Tell us a little bit about not just what you covered, but learning about the culinary program at the high school being as robust as it is.
The culinary program at Fort Dorchester High School is more than a class. It is a pathway to a career. This is a way kids can actually get their certification to work with food. And there's a quote from this article by the program director in which he says that any of his kids who want to get a job in the industry can get a job in the industry. And I think they proved that when I went to go and visit. Charleston Wine and Food was there. You may know them from their annual festival, but they're actually a year-round nonprofit, and they are one of the partners for the Fort Dorchester High School culinary program. And the kids get to take on internships with Charleston Wine and Food. They get to work with world-renowned chefs during the festival. And then during the school year, Charleston Wine and Food, I believe, also supports them in other capacities. So this is an exciting thing happening at Fort Dorchester High School. I know from firsthand experience that career courses at the high school level really do matter, and I'm lucky to have gone to school in DD2 where I got to have a similar experience, and it made me really happy to see these kids who love the culinary arts getting to have that experience as well. So that's the story on the front page.
All right, so two other front page stories of the four total got a lot of traction on social media. The top story, which Eon wrote, which was from the Summerville's more recent town council meeting, about it's about a lot of things, but one of the things that kind of got people in an uproar on social media was the shooting from last year that happened on Sawmill Branch Trail. It's one of those. I just got off the phone with a friend of mine who said, if you address what people are saying on Facebook, then they think they won the argument. And if you don't address what people are saying on Facebook, then they think they won the argument. So there's really no point in arguing with people on Facebook. But they're saying all kinds of stuff that we can't report because we don't know of it as fact. So it's they can get on there and say whatever they want. We don't have that luxury. We have to verify. We have to know. It has to come from a source who we can say, such as Chief Wright, who's quoted throughout this article, about what's going on. So somebody says, it was why he was arrested is still clear as mud. Well, I think that's pretty clear in the article, actually, why he was arrested. Someone was shot. The other one is on the rail of this week's paper, and it's about a home invasion that turned fatal. I'm getting messages from folks, publicly and privately, saying that it wasn't a home invasion, that this was a mentally ill person who just went to the wrong house and tried to get in. Well, in the parlance of legal terms, if that is a home invasion. We got the information from the sheriff's office. We got the information from the coroner's office. We've got no information from anyone else saying anything about it being a mentally ill person who was confused. There was a claim that he was released early from the hospital and didn't have a ride, and just all kinds of things. So either way, this is the everyday struggle. This is what Eon and I deal with daily. With either we put out too much information or we don't put out enough. There's never a happy medium there. But on a bright note, though, your Meet Your Public Servants has returned, and it is Todd Friddle. Todd and I got to be friends early in my tenure here at Summerville because he and I like to discuss how everybody down here has these weird accents. Because he's from West Virginia and I'm from Kentucky, and we just think everybody down here talks funny. But anyway, that's a joke, of course. During this, Eon, during your sit down with Todd Friddle, what stuck out to you about him as far as an elected official and as a person?
I don't know if those listening have had a chance to read not only Todd Friddle's Meet Your Public Servants, he's on Dorchester County Council, but also on Dorchester County Council Chairman Chinnis's Meet Your Public Servants article. What stood out to me about Councilman Friddle's interview is the same thing that stood out to me about Chairman Chinnis's interview. At the local level, politicians are usually not career politicians. They have other careers that they start off in, and then they see a need in their community for change, and that's when they pursue public office. And Councilman Friddle talked about how he spent about 35 years working for Lowe's Home Improvement, and he was very valuable in that role. He worked managing multiple locations, helped different stores open up, did it for a long time. It gave him kind of a business perspective. And he spoke about wanting to bring in a business perspective to the council to help manage growth responsibly. It's always interesting to me when our local politicians are more than politicians. And that's part of why I love doing Meet Your Public Servants.
On through the paper here, you have two more articles from your town council meeting coverage. One where they recognize a lot of employees, which they tend to do, and the Summerville Seniors Basketball Program observation. Now, seniors is in senior citizens, and we're working on a story right now about this league that this lady, Gail Engel, started when she moved here. Well, I don't know if Gail started it, but I know that she at least built it up. And they went from very few members, or not really an active group, to winning medals. So you can look for that story. And then just below that is the town council members approved their budget at the May 8th meeting. Eon is a de facto town council budget, I don't want to say expert, but very knowledgeable of it, having attended the budget workshops and all the town council meetings since then. Evan Atkinson, a special education teacher at Summerville High School, had received the National Life Changer of the Year award. Very big honor for Miss Atkinson there. There's an article on page A5 about Evan. The Knights of Columbus's Memorial Day ceremony, which they have every year, is Monday, May 26, 2:30 at Hutchinson Square Park. It's a great ceremony if you haven't been. And there's a small article in this week about the Hurricane Expo that they have every year that is coming up at the end of the month, May 31st.
I was really excited to see Evan Atkinson recognized in the paper. I think I went to middle school with Evan. I can confirm that she is definitely the type of person who would succeed as a teacher. So congratulations to Evan Atkinson. On page A6, we have a variety of stories. The first being a crime story. There was an arrest made in a DUI crash that killed a 21-year-old. So a Moncks Corner man has been charged for the April 12th collision in Summerville. If you want more details on that, again, we're on page A6. There are new townhomes potentially coming to Nexton. Stanley Martin Homes is unveiling them, and it's going to be called the Jenkins, which offers 3 stories of living space and a walkable Somerville community. So if you care about development, that's a development story. Prom for Paws is a roaring good time. Dorchester Paws hosts 1920s themed adult prom June 27th. I think that is such a cute idea. It's going to be a fundraiser at 6:30 p.m. going until 11 p.m. on Friday, June 27th at the Low Country Conference Center. So that's something to look forward to. Another thing to look forward to, still on page A6, are the upcoming exhibits that have been announced for Public Works Arts Center. They have installations in their galleries that rotate throughout the year, and it's a free community art space. They're unveiling diverse exhibitions featuring experimental works and interactive art. So it's fun new stuff to look forward to from them as well. Turning over to page A7, Fort Dorchester High School has been named a Palmetto's Finest finalist. Having covered Fort Dorchester High School twice now for 2 different stories, I was very impressed both times when I went there, so this is not surprising to me at all. Congratulations to the faculty, staff, and students at Fort Dorchester High School. We have a feature story on an upcoming exhibition for a mixed media artist, and a pickleball tournament serves up $30,000 for Meals on Wheels.
Leadership Dorchester, of which Chloe Klotzbach, our multimedia account executive, which is a fancy way of saying sales rep. She's also our in-office. She's also our marketing coordinator here in the office. Is a member of Leadership Dorchester this year, and they are their project is an inclusive outdoor space at Beyond Basic. So, which is a great. Beyond Basic is great. Leadership Dorchester is great. I can't imagine a more fitting partnership here as far as the team that's doing it and the end result are just going to be great. Also on page A9 is The Poet's Place with Tris Vicino. She is submitting poems weekly. She was late on one of them. She probably mad at me for saying that, but she was late on one, so one paper she missed. But either way, every week we'll have a poem from her. This was something we started discussing during the Somerville Book Festival back in February, which was a great event. Somerville Museum has a new website. You can read that article in the paper this week. 2 juveniles were arrested for a shooting at Pine Hill Acres. And I believe, Eon, that one of them was 12. Yeah. 112, 116. So, juvenile for sure. So, Eon's favorite section, the sports. All kinds of stuff going on. All kinds of postseason soccer, baseball, softball. Can't talk enough about Roger Lee. You know what a great job he does. I think there may be more than one Roger Lee sometimes. So he does that. Speaking of sports, we had our annual Prep Sports Awards this past week. Absolutely incredible event. Scott Eisberg was our keynote speaker, the news director down at the ABC station in Charleston. He's phenomenal. Rebecca Collette was our master of ceremonies. She was great. We had about 160 people show up. It was sponsored by Berkeley Electric, Home Telecom, the DADC, and then of course we had food donated by Nukes and Popeyes. It was just a great event all around. It's something we really like to do. Another story is, it's called, I gave it the headline, Breaking Barriers, Climbing Ranks, is about the promotions in the Dorchester County Sheriff's Office, and particularly Jolie Tumbleston became the first woman in the agency's history to achieve the rank of major. So, excellent milestone there.
Thank you for listening to Seen and Heard. If you have any suggestions for podcast topics or guests, or if you think you have something to share you'd like to be on the podcast, you can go to our website, journalscene.com, and find out how to contact us. We're always receptive to community feedback. Thank you so much for listening. Again, this has been Eon Bailey, reporter, here with publisher and managing editor Brandon Roberts. We're wishing you the very best week.